Hey, welcome to Loose Change. Please allow faster viewers to play through. I'm Jim Evans. Thanks for joining us, and you will be glad you did. We always say that, but it holds true. We have a terrific guest, so hang around. First off, what's going on? I'm at home, as usual, on the couch, dozing in and out. I wake up, I see on TV an interesting show about aerodynamic drag coefficient. Then I look a little closer. It's just video of a guy being dragged off a United Airlines flight. They're pretty efficient at that, aren't they? Hey, the NFL draft, the Browns did pretty good, seemingly better than last year. They took Myles Garrett with the first pick. Then they took Jabril Peppers. After that, they took a guy who may be charged with punching someone out. Only the Browns can come up with assault and peppers. Leave it to them. Hey, did you hear? Alabama Incorporated head football coach Nick Saban got another contract extension, another raise, over $7 million a year. I'm telling you, we're getting closer and closer and closer to the point where these college coaches are going to be making as much money as the players. It's coming, I'm telling you. Did you guys hear about the 8-year-old kid in East Palestine that recently got his sister and then grabbed the family van and drove several blocks to McDonald's? And he did so pretty well. And the police asked him, "Why'd you take the van?" And he said, "Because my parents had the car." Got it off of YouTube. What else here? We got, NBA great Phil Jackson and his longtime girlfriend, Lakers owner Jeannie Buss, have split. Not much of a surprise. I mean, everyone knows how hard it is, no matter who you are, to make it go in a rebound relationship. Hey, someone who knows a lot about rebounding is coming up next. Anne-Marie Martin joins us right here on Loose Change. Hang tight. Coming at you.
Armstrong Telephone is an ordinary service with extraordinary features. Call anywhere in the U.S. and Canada with greater clarity and reliability than cell phone service. Listen to voicemail and manage calling features online. Even get caller ID on TV. Make the switch. Get all your local and long-distance calling from Armstrong Telephone for only $9.95 a month for 6 months. And keep your current number. Plus, the added benefit of free 24/7 local support. Telephone service from Armstrong. One wire, infinite possibilities.
Welcome back to Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans. I wasn't kidding, was I? I have the great pleasure to be joined right now by former standout YSU basketball player Anne-Marie Martin and standout teacher as well. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And what we like to do with our victims, or excuse me, our guests, off the top, for those who don't know, give us a little snapshot of your resume, where you're from and how you got to Youngstown and how your career took its path.
I grew up in Parma, Ohio, went to Valley Forge High School, and from there went to YSU, played for Coach DeGregorio from 94 to 98, and took up teaching. And have been teaching at Austintown for 18 years, 17 years at the high school teaching science, and now this year I went to 8th grade science at the middle school.
Great. What was it about Youngstown that drew you here, that made you decide this is where I'm going to come to college and play ball and continue your academic career?
I really didn't even know about Youngstown at first. Coach D kind of bothered me and kept calling me and said, "Hey, you got to come in and you got to see this and you'll love it here." And that's what I did. I came in on a visit and I thought, wow, this is a really nice school. How come more people don't know about this school? And it's kind of hidden. You know, being from Cleveland, I never heard about Youngstown State. And went on the visit and I knew that was the place I wanted to go. You know, the community supports you here. The coach was great. The players were good. And it just felt like a family atmosphere.
And academics are pretty solid as well.
Oh, absolutely. This, education, they were top notch in the state at the time. So that's really good.
Obviously, Coach DeGregorio you mentioned he kept calling you, and he had probably a big role in your decision. And to have the opportunity to play for a guy like him had to mean a lot.
Oh, to play for him, he so much knowledge of the game, and just all overall, he would take us in like we were his daughters. He called us his daughters. He took care of us. on road trips, anything we needed, he was always there. He was always joked with us, I'm your first call. If you need something, you call me, we'll see what we can do.
And you mentioned that, and as certainly in team sports, we always hear about that team chemistry, the camaraderie, close-knit group. And that's where it starts, doesn't it? I mean, you had that with him, starting with him, and then it grew from there. That's really important, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. He was a true leader in every sense, whether it be with the other coaches or even the girls. He told the captains what he wanted, and the captains made sure that's what he got. And, it all started with him, and it was amazing.
Were there other areas you thought you were going to, head to, or was it always, after you took some time with it, was it always YSU?
After I went on a couple visits, I went around to different places, and I thought, wow, my parents can come watch me play basketball here. And that's a key thing. My parents have always watched me, and it's close enough to go away, but also close enough to go home and get my laundry done or something like that on the weekend. And I knew it right away. As soon as I left here that Sunday afternoon, I thought that's the place I'm going. But I didn't want to tell anyone yet. Just wanted to make sure, but that was definitely the place.
Obviously, you were, extra good in high school. What was it about here, or what happened here to enhance your game as you move forward in your career, basketball career?
I think the coaches really challenged us. They challenged us to do better, to try to be the best person you could be on the court and off the court. It wasn't just, I want you to be a great athlete. I want you also to do well in the class. You got to go to the classes. I will be there checking on you. And we would have coaches outside the room at 8 o'clock class. I'd come out at 9 and Coach D would be standing there.
Wow.
And just making sure, he's like, you're here for an education first. So if I had a class later on as a senior and I had to miss, practice, it was okay. He was okay with that, with missing practice, because you're here for an education, and that's the main thing he wanted us all to have.
What was maybe the strength of your game, though, on the court that you would say?
I was more of a shooter, offensive-minded, and everybody on the team would probably say that. I didn't play. I played defense because I had to play defense if I wanted to stay on the court. But I looked to shoot the ball a little bit more in the post, and I felt like when we needed a shot, I would be the person to go to get that shot, and I'd call for the ball.
And you wanted it in those
situations. And I wanted it in those situations,
right.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great shooters. Shooters got to shoot. That's what I always say, and you have to have that mindset. But I looked over some of your numbers, and I think you averaged over 50% field goal percentage, I believe, every year, and double figures, and did well rebounding, and obviously, you figured well into what was really a great group of players you had there at that time.
Oh, yeah. I think, we all fed off of each other. We had a really solid core of kids. I mean, we were all seniors together. There was 5 of us. And, then we had Liz Hoger and Christy Ackleberry, who laid the groundwork before us, who came before us, who told us this is how you have to do it, and this is what's expected of you. And, we were able to follow in their footsteps. And everybody knew their role on the team. Everybody knew, okay, you're the shooter, you're the rebounder, you're going to get the steals, you're the assist leader. And we all knew what we had to do in order to win the games.
And I remember covering that team when I was, doing TV news and sports. And the thing that I still remember, what really stuck in my mind at that time was, what great balance each team had. Like you just mentioned, everybody had their role. One person did this really well, and you could adapt to different situations. You got out and run if you had to, and that always stuck out in my mind.
Yeah, I think whatever team we played, we could slow it down or we could speed it up, and that's what really helped us. We were kind of like a chameleon. We could do whatever we needed to do at that time.
Do you think it's changed a whole? Not a whole lot, but has the game changed, from your observations from when you played to now, or is it pretty much the same deal?
I think it's changed a little bit. I go and watch YSU play now, and I think that the game's a little bit quicker than it was. Everything's more up pace, and they're shooting and gunning threes. I mean, we used to do that too, but we would be able to settle down, run an offense. I think there's more of run and gun than anything else in the game now.
That the teams you were on, if I'm not mistaken, you went to NCAA twice?
Yes.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. The first time we played Penn State in '96,
right.
and I remember walking out and going, oh, this is a big gym. We're not used to this.
Yeah.
And then in '98, our senior year, we were ready for it. We felt really confident. We knew what type of team we were, and playing Memphis for the first time, we ended up upsetting them. And, that's really rare in the women's game, especially back then. There's a little bit more now. But it was exciting. I mean, just to see the fans. We had a huge fan base that followed us both years. And it was great just to see the community come out and share that with us and be able to be part of it.
You know, obviously to have that experience and so unforgettable, and you always have that. But once the game gets going, you block all that out, don't you? I mean, it's just you're playing basketball. Here's your opponent. You go do what you have to do. You're not caught up in the moment of being at the NCAA, are you?
No, the first time I think we were.
Okay.
First time we played Penn State, we were kind of caught up in the moment a little bit, and then the senior year we knew what to expect. We knew what we wanted to do. It was just Memphis we were playing. We were going out on the court. We saw them. We knew what we had to do. We knew our scouting report, and we just played. And that was the big difference. And plus, we matured in those 2 years. That kind of helped us a lot.
But you look through those years, and you had a couple of 20-win seasons, 28 wins. I think your senior year, and well, that's great achievement. It really truly is.
We were very fortunate. Coach D went out and recruited some really great people, and we all fit together really well. And we were able to play together well too, because it's one thing to come and have a group of kids, but it's another thing to play together and kind of mold yourselves towards each other.
Were those NCAA moments your most memorable moments, or were there other games or situations that maybe still ride with you?
Beating Valpo a couple times.
That's,
in Buffalo, up in Buffalo, and the Mid-Con tournament one year.
Sure.
We weren't supposed to win, and we ended up beating them on their court, and that was the year Shannon put green in her hair, and we all painted our nails black, and
you mentioned that. I remember that.
And I think that was in '96, and that was one of the ones that we had a blast, and we were having fun. And Coach was like, looked at us, and he's like, and we're like, too late, we got to get on the bus. You said this time, and we went out there and we played, and it was fun. That was probably the best win we had, because we had played 3 games in a row. We were exhausted and tired, but we knew if we win, we'd go to the NCAAs.
Yeah, and I also recall pretty decent crowds down at Bigley Center during that time as well.
Oh yeah, my first year I started freshman year. There was the mainstays that are probably still there today.
Yes.
The true fans. Every once in a while I go back, they're still there, which is amazing. And then the crowd got bigger and bigger as we went, and I think senior year we won the Mid-Con, and it was a standing room only, and it was just amazing to have all these people there and pulling out the top bleachers, half of the bleachers, which they don't even do anymore.
Right.
So it was fantastic.
As a player, though, you feed off of that, don't you? That energy, having that home crowd. Obviously you can feed off a road situation, but having that home crowd and having that extra pump, that really means something, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, when they come out, the fans, I mean, that gives you everything. It's so amazing, because you hit a shot and all of a sudden they're off your feet, they're cheering for you. You have a good defensive stop, they're going in. That energy that they bring, it goes right to the court and right to the players.
Do you miss it?
Oh, I always miss it. Yeah, I don't think I could play anymore now, but I do miss it. I think I can shoot maybe, but I don't know if I can actually get up and down and run.
Well, like you said, it's about shooting now.
Yeah, exactly.
More than anything else. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with more with Anne-Marie Martin here on Loose Change. We'll be right back.
Let's talk business. What does yours need for communication? Whether you're a small business or a large one, Armstrong Business Solutions has the tools. From internet and telephone to high-speed fiber optic networking. Connecting multiple locations? No sweat. Conducting business on the go? We've got unified voice. As a telecommunications leader, we know what it takes to deliver the performance, reliability, and security required for business-critical IT and connectivity. Are you getting all that for what you're paying? Armstrong Business Solutions. Your business is our business.
Back on Loose Change with Anne-Marie Martin. I'm Jim Evans, and we were talking about YSU baskets before the break, and you mentioned you get a chance to catch a little bit right now. We were talking before we got going about the women's program and the great job that Coach Barnes has done. They had a tough season this past season, but he's doing a lot of really good things, and there's a lot of reason for optimism there. The men's team with the new head coach, there's new energy, involved now, and a lot of good things happening for YSU basketball right now. Talk about that if you would.
I think it's really exciting. I think Coach Barnes has done a tremendous job taking over, and he's built up the program to where it needs to be. I mean, it was a rough year this year, but you have a lot of injuries. You can't help that. Injuries happen at any time of the game. And I can't wait to see what the new men's coach is going to do, because there is that energy behind him, and hopefully we're going to get some really good recruits in, and they're going to bring it up to put basketball back on the map here in Youngstown. Not just a football program, but
Right.
basketball and everything else. That'd be great.
Absolutely. And you, after your playing career and got out of school and everything, you did get into coaching. Talk a little bit about that.
I teach at Austintown Fitch. When I was teaching there, I got into coaching basketball for a little bit, coached 6 years, and I loved it. I had a great time, great experience, and then I had a chance to take a head coaching job at Niles, and I went there for a year or two, and then got a chance to move to Hiram College and coach in college. And I thought, that's where I wanted to go, being a teacher, going into coaching. And I realized I got burned out really fast, because it's a hard job coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's 24/7, and you're always out on the road recruiting, and it's really tough. And you got to be able to, move around and do everything you need to do for your program.
Well, you mentioned recruiting, certainly at the college level. What's maybe the other big difference between coaching, high school kids and then college people? Is it just the maturity level and their position in the game at that time, or is there other things?
There's a lot of different things. I think maturity has a lot to do with it, but the girls got to want it. They got to go out and they've got to want to do the extra work and stuff. And at the college level, you see that more often. There's still some high school girls that do that and do that extra work. But at the college level, those girls are constantly working on their craft. They're working to be better basketball players, maybe shooting foul shots or doing something. So they're always in the gym. And as a coach, you want to be there helping them. So there's a lot of extra time spent on doing that, besides, going out and watching possible recruits come into your school.
Yeah, needless to say, they get to the collegiate level, and they're there because they really want to be there, and obviously they're furthering their education. So you have that obviously that figures into the motivation factor in terms of what they're doing.
Right, and a lot of the kids want that. They want that to be that student athlete still, and they don't want to give up basketball yet, and they want those 4 more years or 5 years if they get that. And that's what you want as a coach. You want to look for that and grab those kids and work with them as best you can.
Now you got away from that. Do you think you'll ever return to that? Coaching?
I don't think so. I think that's a chapter of my life that's kind of over. I loved it. I enjoyed it. The kids that I call them kids, but the young ladies that I had, I still see them around Youngstown today, and now they're having kids and they're in their careers, and it's fantastic to see them, and they're doing really well. But I like what I'm doing now.
Well, tell us what it is. We know you're teaching science in the Austintown school system, but now you're involved in athletics in a different way. Tell us about it.
I went to the dark side. That's what I tell everybody. I'm a zebra. I'm a referee now. So I referee basketball, and I really think that playing and coaching helps me to be a better referee, because I know when that coach wants that timeout. I know when the coach is going to be looking for something, or I could talk the coach down if they're really upset about a call or something like that. Be like, yes, and it really helps me along the way.
I always thought, if you're an official, whatever the sport, that, with basketball, it might be a little harder in that you have the crowd right there on top of you, and you have all the experts in the stands that know everything. Is that a factor at all?
Not really. I mean, you hear them. You can hear the fans. If you're a referee,
if you let them,
you got to tune it out.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, because 50% of the time you're wrong. You have a block or a charge, 50% of the time you're wrong, and half of the crowd's going to hate you.
Yes.
And that's what happens. You just got to let it go and just keep moving on and referee your game and not let it bother you.
Are you still learning at it?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
You know, I go to camps, I read magazines, I try to just work on, it's just like playing basketball, except now I'm reffing, so I'm trying to get to the right spot and do whatever I can do to make myself better at my craft.
Would you be able to move up and do so at the collegiate level, or would that be too much of a time situation for you?
Yeah, it would be really tough being a teacher because traveling, you have to be there an hour or two before the game. And I get out of school at 3, games are at 7. Some, you know, I could go close places, but, you know, if you're traveling 3-4 hours, you know, there's so much time I get in a day, and it'd be really tough.
You talked about how the game has changed a little bit, you know, at the collegiate level. Do you see the similarities at the high school level for the young women in terms of the way the game has changed, or not so?
A little bit. I still see it slowing down and stuff. I think it's still like when I played, I don't want to say it, you know, it's sped up a little bit, but, you know, I still think that you still have your really good teams, you have your mediocre teams,
right,
and, you know, the less fortunate teams, I would say, but I don't really think it's changed as much as it has at the high school level or at the college level.
Yeah. You know, this area, not just, you know, the Youngstown area, but Northeast Ohio, there's a lot of really exceptional and solid young women playing basketball. I've been impressed by that over the last, you know, 25, 30 years, and how I think that's been an improvement from what I've seen.
Yeah,
skill level.
The skill level is really good, and you could tell because those teams thrive because they have that 1 or 2 girls that are fantastic, and they're really just picking up everybody else on their team, and they're the ones getting college scholarships. So, you know, it does pay off because I see them. I do AAU during the summer, and I see these girls playing basketball. So they're playing basketball, you know, throughout the whole year, and they're just working harder, and that's why they're getting those scholarships.
Yeah, I had the opportunity a couple of seasons. We were the radio side following Ursuline, and they would make it to the regionals, and several years they would run into Regina.
Oh, yeah.
And watch them play, and it's like, this is like UConn. I mean, this is,
right.
Wow, they were exceptional. Ursuline was really good, too. So that's one of the things that still stands out in my mind about, you know, how the bar has been raised.
Oh yeah, there are those schools that make it to state every single year, and they're really good because they just work down at the lower levels and they work with their middle school kids and even a 5th and 6th grade program. That's one thing that's changed. I never started playing basketball till 7th grade, so now they're playing 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and they're coming all the way up. So by the time they get to middle school, you don't have to teach, you know, how to shoot a layup or, you know, how to make a bounce pass because those kids know it. So that just moves you along a little bit more, and you can work on plays and do a lot of different things.
As an official, as a referee, do you go into game with a game plan for yourself or collectively?
Well, it depends. If I've had the team before, you know, we'll talk about you know, players and say, okay, hey, we got to watch this kid, you know, or, you know, this person gets a little, you know, upset, or this coach gets a little feisty, you know, we got to talk that coach down, make sure they're not on the court, you know. So we try to have a game plan as an officiating crew to make sure, you know, hey, we're going to call it. If we call it like this in the beginning, we need to call it all the way through the 4th quarter and 1 second left. If that's the foul we called in the 1st, we better call it in the 4th. Yeah,
that was my next question. And that you're not going to make all the right calls, as you mentioned, it's 50-50, but it's just being consistent throughout the game. Is that key?
Absolutely. Yeah, I always say consistency. That's my first thing, communication and consistency, because you want to make sure whatever you're calling, the players are going to adjust to you, and if they don't, it's going to be a really long game for them. So hopefully if you're making those calls, they'll adjust and everybody will make sure, so that way it's a better flow of the basketball game.
So you're doing other sports as well in regards to officiating. Talk about that, if you would.
I do volleyball in the fall, and it's just high school, and then I do track in high school and college lacrosse in the spring now.
Tell us about lacrosse. That's intriguing.
It's amazing. This area hasn't had it. This year we have 4 schools in the area: Mooney, Poland, Boardman, and Canfield. And you know, so I get a lot of their games, but I usually go to Cleveland, to Canton. With college lacrosse, I've been up to Michigan, Kentucky, PA, West Virginia. I've been all over the place traveling with that.
Did you know Did you know anything about lacrosse as a game, or is it something you just kind of had to get into and learn as you went?
I knew nothing about it. Someone watched me ref. A lacrosse official actually watched me ref and said, "Wow, you'd be really good at lacrosse." And I was like, I have no idea what lacrosse is. They're like, "Oh, the thing with the stick." And I'm like, okay, so they had me go watch lacrosse, and I'm like, oh, that's a charge, that's a block. It's the same kind of
Similar concept.
concept of basketball, and your positioning is just like basketball. And I thought, I could do this. And then, 8 years ago, I got into it and moved up through the ranks, and, now I ref almost every single night lacrosse right now in the spring here.
Is it more fun than basketball?
No.
Okay.
Basketball's my favorite,
All
so
right.
definitely not. But it's close. It's close second, but, I really do. Basketball's my favorite all the way.
So just a little bit about, you just go halves with lacrosse? Because I really know nothing about it, or how's it
It's
break
just,
down?
it's just like a soccer field almost. So you have like they call it a restraining line or whatever, but you have 11 people that actually are on the field at once, and 7 can be at the goal on the below the restraining line, and 4 have to stay back. And you're trying to basically get a little ball into a really small goal,
Yeah.
and and there's a lot of running with it. So I get to stay in shape by reffing it.
Good deal. We're running out of time, but I wanted you to touch on teaching, and I know you mentioned 18 years as a science teacher, also down in schools, and being in the classroom, I'm sure means a lot to you, and working with kids at that level, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I love teaching because I think you can learn something from the students as well as they can learn something from you, and that's something I try every single day when I go in the classroom. And I always teach them, life is going to be tough, but you know what, you got to roll with the punches. It's all on how your attitude is as you go on and how you move up. And whether it be science, English, math, any type of subject, that's what they got to learn, and that's what I try to instill in the kids.
There's a special program you're working on, from what I understand.
Yeah,
wanna
we
talk
do.
about it?
It's called WEB, Where Everybody Belongs. Our 8th graders are mentors to our 6th graders, and we start at the beginning of the school year. It's the first year we had it this year, where we had 100 8th graders, and we have 2 8th graders to every 10 6th graders, and they just mentor those kids throughout the year. So the beginning of the school year, they show them where the cafeteria is, where the gym is, and just the little things. And then we do little respect lessons throughout the year. We do High Five Fridays. We do You're a Star with Starburst and stuff. And the kids, the 6th graders, really enjoyed it, and now they're actually going to those 8th graders and talking to them, and they're building relationships, and that's what we're trying to do, communicate without a phone or any type of Chromebook or devices.
Well, you're helping young people. That's a great thing. So you're doing great things. I sure appreciate you
Thank you.
coming on the program. Anne-Marie Martin, everyone. And we'll be back to wrap it up here on Loose Change right after this.
Still trying to decide between EXP and satellite? Let's take a look at the facts. Only EXP from Armstrong offers award-winning local customer support and free service calls with no contracts and no early termination fees. EXP also includes Zoom Internet, the area's fastest, plus an intuitive user interface powered by TiVo for the ultimate TV experience. As you can see, when it comes to EXP versus satellite, there's just no comparison. EXP from Armstrong, this changes everything.
That's going to do it for our show. Thanks so much to Anne-Marie Martin for joining us. And as always, to two-time Telly Award winner Greg Roten. I'm Jim Evans. We will see you next time right here on Loose Change. Great Armstrong Programming.